Welcome on the couch. Round 22 is in the books, and we only have one certain contender for September, a fortnight to go. And it's going to be a great fortnight of footy. But we start our conversation tonight at the Melbourne Football Club, and the fallout from Simon Goodwin's exodus last Tuesday continues. And, well, we have to look in to a man who many believe is the front runner for the jobs, Nathan Buckley. It's great to have you on the couch tonight.
Didn't see this on the running.
Didn't see this on the running.
Oh, I actually got a lot of questions here. Where do we start?
Oh, yeah, so
Nathan.
Well, I think we should start, Bucks. Just
so you might have a lot of questions. I don't have a lot of answers.
Well, we hope you get a few answers.
Open up with one.
Yeah.
Do you want to coach next year?
I don't know if I will or not.
No, do you want to?
I don't know if I
do
or not. No. I've been really... I think I've been pretty transparent and clear with that. There's a spot available now, and this is the first time that I've actually wanted to go further down the track to find out what that challenge would be and whether it would fit for where I'm at in my life as well. So, yeah, I'm going to explore it a little bit harder this time around. What does
exploring look like, Bucks? Is that asking questions of Melbourne or seeking to get clarification on what the process actually looks like?
Yeah, it's more to understand Melbourne's challenge and where they think they're at, where they think they need to go forward. I think but before we sort of get to all of this, I am but one of many candidates that will be really good options for Melbourne going forward, and they'll go through their process and they'll choose the person that they think is best placed to take them forward, whether that's for the next 3 years, 5 years, whether they're looking for 10 years. It's... Yeah, in the end, that's their remit to work that out. And there's multiple good options. There's multiple good decisions. It's not just one person. So I think that's got to be really clear up front.
You'll go through the process. Would you believe that that's something that you'd like to do, just to see whether you do have that itch to scratch? It's been 3 years since you've coached at senior level. Is there a worry that maybe coaching is done for you?
It could be. It could be. But I'm stepping into a space now that I haven't at this point. And yeah, so I'm just taking the next steps to explore it for myself. And obviously, through the lens of one club at the moment. I have kicked around with Tassie as well to have a look at that, but that's been dormant for probably 6 months. So that's as open as I can be about it. I'm going to be asked as I go along and have a microphone in front of me every second day. But I'm not going to be giving blow-by-blows on Melbourne's process, on their system, on where we're at in terms of our communication. I could think one thing this evening and think something different tomorrow evening, so it wouldn't be fair on me or them to try and do a blow-by-blow, because it will ebb and flow until either they or I or any other candidate gets to a final position.
There must be an attractiveness to the list, though, because ultimately... you're really governed by the list that you have at hand.
Yes and no. Yes and no. I think the list is one thing, the list of players that's available. Then you've got to consider...
you didn't put your hand up for West Coast last year.
No, I know. Was that because I didn't like West Coast, or was it because I wasn't ready?
I would have thought you would have had a fairly close look at the list and gone, well, they're a few years away, realistically. Well, whereas I would have thought Melbourne are closer.
No, I can tell. I took a call from Don Pike, but I said to him, I'm not in the space. I'm not in the space to consider that. And I think I'm in a space to consider it now. But you look at the list, but then got to consider, right, what's the state of your TPP? I've been in a position where the TPP is not in a great state. Maybe it's not a position that I want to step into in that regard. I don't know that yet. Then the others are, where do you train? What's the structure of your leadership? Because at the moment it's still quite transient. What are your plans going forward in terms of facilities and where you want to be? And where do you think you sit? When do you want to compete? When do you want to contend? I don't have any answers to any of those questions.
Is it hard to talk? I mean, you've been in Simon Goodwin's position. Is it hard to talk publicly and openly about it, understanding what the hurt might be? I mean, do you reach out to Goody and see how he is and what he's feeling?
Yeah, well, I text Goody immediately because I thought he handled himself brilliantly. I think he's handled himself really well throughout. And I have empathy for the situation because clearly the Melbourne, the team looked unhappy at times over the last couple of years. There was dis-ease and unrest with the way that they presented on field. And no one knows what's going on behind. Plenty of scuttlebutt and innuendo, but no one knows exactly what's happening behind the scenes. But he's at the helm of that, trying to pull it all together. Some of it would be in his control and his remit. Others would be, it might be board, it might be football department structure. It could be individuals within the playing group that are just unhappy and making a lot of noise. Who knows? But I did feel for Goody, and I think he's been an excellent coach, a premiership coach. But we've had a connection along the way, and I reached out to him, congratulate him. I thought he handled himself with class.
What does Melbourne need? You're close to anyone. You've played for the club.
Yeah, I think they, and sometimes surprise packets can come up, but I think my feeling that this group internally would still think they can compete. So I don't think they need a coach coming in and trying to develop the list for 2 to 3 to 4 years down the track. I think they've got a genuine chance. And we saw a little bit of evidence on the weekend when they've been released of the shackles, so to speak. The energy is in that group and the quality of the players are in that group. I seriously think they compete for finals next year. And who knows where that might take them if they've got health and confidence. But I still think the coach might need a hard edge. I still think there's an element of the Melbourne Football Club and yeah, Damien Hardwick speaks, sometimes we need just to grow up. They don't need to grow up, but maybe just that hardness has just waned.
They spoke about Lovey stuff pre-season. You're saying getting rid of that.
Yeah, I think there's still room for that. I still think there is, and especially the generation of players coming through now certainly need that. But I still think there is that element of you need to be able to be friends with the coach but understand where you stand, which was Alistair Clarkson's great trait. I'd imagine it's Damien Hardwick's great trait. So all the great coaches have that element of fear, and I think that's probably the perfect time. We've seen, Brendan McCarthy, the Bulldogs, contest. Luke Beveridge comes in, opens them up. So a complementary coach could probably work well as well. This game plan for probably 2 or 3, 4 years now has been about contest. So maybe a coach that can open them up a little bit and explore different avenues, like we saw on the weekend. It was a predictable response, I think, on the weekend from Melbourne, but that shows you what they might be capable of, which I think is a positive.
Let's get the latest from the newsroom. John Ralph joins us. Ralphie, where does the Melbourne coaching merry-go-round sit at the moment?
So Jack, Nathan is the last man standing of the experienced types, but Melbourne is adamant tonight it will run a full process. This is not a boat race. And despite some of the public narrative, I still think that they're really open to a first-timer or a senior coach who's been there before. So Adam Simpson said today that he will not be part of the process. Those who know Ken Hinkley really well say he's absolutely cooked after 13 years in the job, and he's more likely to have a year off than even considering a job like Michael Voss's footy chief, let alone a senior coaching role. So by Wednesday at the earliest, the coaching selection panel will have all 6 members of it. It will likely have some external football experience, maybe some recruiting or leadership capability. Now, Jordan Lewis would be perfect for the job. There is a view in Melbourne that he's almost too close to Nathan, so make of that what you will. So here's the key. This is not a total rebuild, but Melbourne does not share the view of Simon Goodwin that they can compete next year. They believe it would be catastrophic to trade away all their senior players because they do believe that they can get back to the summit in 2 to 4 years, and just maybe the Christian Petracca types are still holding on by that stage, get another crack at it. So they're not considering trading Petracca or Lever. So Nathan's the early favourite, and now we get to see who else is on the shortlist, whether it's Brendan Lade or Danny Daly or one of the Hayden Skipworth types. Jordan, you've lived the Casey experience. It has certainly been something that's got a drive-through from Simon Goodwin. It's something that makes it hard to be a destination club. Give us your insights into the challenges and opportunities of Casey.
Oh, I mean, there's no doubt it's a challenge. I mean, the facilities out there are good, but are they at the level of a West Coast or the Hawthorn Football Club where they're moving to Dingley? No, they're not. I think players always want to be around the action where they train on the odd occasion at Amy Park. It's great, but you're sharing that facilities with three people. But I think this has been a 25 to 30-year thing that everyone has been promised a home for the Melbourne Football Club, yet nothing has eventuated. So it always seems there's something in the background that they're working on, but nothing has ever come to fruition. So, yeah, I think it absolutely plays a part on trying to attract talent, whether that be coaches or players.
Bucks, does it surprise you that so many of the seasoned coaches have withdrawn so early out of this process? And, I mean, Brad Green clearly thinks, the interim president clearly thinks this is a finals list. He said that on the public record, but all of a sudden we're 2, 3, 4 days into it, and John Longmire's fallen away, Adam Simpson's fallen away, Ken Hinkley's fallen away, even the incumbent at the moment, the caretaker coach, Troy Chaplin, has said that he doesn't want to take the job. They don't come around very often, these jobs.
No, but like I was in Horse's position and I've been in Simo's position, so I understand exactly, the decision that they've made, given it's, less around 12 months for both of them. So, and Ken Hinkley's position, he's still yet to finish, but he's obviously not keen to go around again. But we take that at face value as well. Like if Melbourne are, legitimately keen on them, they'll probably knock on the door a second time and see how that goes. But it's not I understand entirely where they're at. Troy Chaplin, I've never been a caretaker coach, but there's not many caretaker coaches that end up taking over.
Well, Bucks, if you do get the job, we can put some character references in for you. We've loved your work on the couch. And I think, Brownie, you make a good forward coach. You can do mids and I'll do backs.
But you might be too close. So
we might be too close.
Yeah, Bucks will definitely be picking up the bill for Geordie tonight.
All right, let's move on to the ladder, the all-important ladder. And it looks like this after round 22. Now, we have been a little bit tricky here, and we've given Gold Coast, because it is the anomaly at the moment, we've given Gold Coast the win over Essendon in round 24 and a half. We're not being disrespectful here. We just think that the Gold Coast...
I think we are.
We are?
Yeah, well, did we not see some banana peel games that just nearly went the other way?
We'll take it back if they lose.
It's not a bad bet. Yeah. And like all media types, we won't have to go back and say what we said before, will we?
This is the first cut.
We're not putting the moz on Dimmer, are we?
And this is... No, we're not. And this is what it looks like. Obviously, still 9 teams contending. Adelaide are the only team currently that does have mathematically the position sewn up to play in September, so they will return to finals after an 8-year hiatus since the 2017 grand final. But it does set up for a fantastic fortnight of footy, doesn't it?
It really does. There's 5 really good games this weekend that have implications, no question about that. It's hard to believe after Brisbane knocked off Collingwood at the MCG last week that now all of a sudden they're scrambling to make finals. Not top 4, to actually make finals. So, if Hawthorn, GWS and the Bulldogs win both their games and Brisbane lose both their games against Fremantle and Hawthorn, Brisbane missed the finals.
For a season that had that distinction between the top 9 and the bottom 9 so early, it's going to go down the wire, and it's quite brilliant, isn't it? The way that it's
top 4 the bottom. Top 4 the bottom 8.
Yeah, well, it's still like home ground advantage for a double chance. Like the 3rd and 4th to be able to get the double chance, and then home ground for the elimination final. They're all going to count. So, and we won't know. We won't know what that looks like until
the last Sunday.
The Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, well, there's every chance either Brisbane Hawthorn or Fremantle Bulldogs will be for the last spot in the 8.
Let's have a look at
Potentially
Collingwood.
we won't know that until that last game that we've already said we know the result.
Yes. We know the result of that. But let's look at Collingwood. They were sitting 2.5 games clear only a month ago, and they've had a disastrous last 5 weeks. 1 and 4, you can see there, the only win coming against the lowly placed Richmond Football Club. It's starting to look like a free-fall, Geordie, for the Collingwood Football Club.
Well, admittedly, those 4 losses are against the top 8 sides, so their draw home was going to be tough, and they've played some of the most scintillating football this year. But I think, as we all know, it's all about timing, and timing your run to September in as good as health as you could possibly be, and your game in as good a shape as you can possibly be. And
there is a form line around this too.
So the last 10 years that Corey, a champion, went to work and put together what does the last 10 years and the run home look like? And
it's the last 6 rounds.
The last 6 rounds. And it is evident, which probably isn't a surprise to all of us, that you need winning form and a level of confidence going into a final series. That means your game stacks up with the best.
So compared to that, if Collingwood won the last 2, they'd be at 50%, 3 and 3 for those last 6 games.
Yep.
So they'd still be under what we've seen there as the average.
The only anomaly was probably Bulldogs in 2016, wasn't it? But they had...
Had 5 players come back in after that.
Right.
To the eye, though, they don't look like a team that can contend for a premiership. Off the back of what they served up on Thursday night against Hawthorn, a 60-plus point loss, and it really didn't look like the Collingwood that has dominated the start of this season and the 2023 premiers.
Well, really, their performances this year, I think, have been really eye-catching. And one of those games where you probably tune in to watch because they've got speed, they've got toughness, they've got the ability to bounce off half-back. And so a lot of these, we spoke last week about when your game is in good shape, you can really hone in on 1 or 2 specific things for the last 4 rounds. That's a lot to work on. And that is a huge drop-off. So I think Craig McRae would be looking at this and going, where do I start? And that becomes a real problem coming into September.
And the predictability is one thing that Collingwood have been known for. Obviously, the oldest list in the league, and you'd think this is what they have.
So that's the other thing, because we'll talk about their list demographic at the moment that are playing, but right now, if a good side that wants to switch the ball and take it to the open, those players are active. They are looking for the ball. Then you can see the other players point to the square. No, let's go long. We're going long. So everyone is on the same page. There is no way they are going to challenge Hawthorn with a switch to the open side. So one, it becomes clearly predictable to you, but easily predictable to the opposition. Once again, Josh Dacos, one of the greatest ball users in the competition. These guys should be working.
So that's coached.
It has to be.
They're doing that for a reason, and they've been doing it for a while because it controls any turnovers coming back the other way. So you really rely on your tools when you're going to do that. So McStay going out of that forward line into that back line when Howe went off was an issue because it stops you from being able to be effective with that style of play. One thing we did say, I thought Fly, geez, he was passionate. He hit hard on the sleeve in the presser after, but I thought there was, but he said he was actually talking about gluing the team back together and trying to do it as quickly as he can.
But we've got to glue our system back together, and we've got a full week to do that. And 19, 20, 100 game players, they know how to play their role, so we've got to glue them back together quickly.
So they do have a lot of experience, but though you've got to have the traits. I thought they were an unbalanced 23, and when Howe went off for Ned Long, it was even worse. This one, Lipinski, this happens in rotations, found out late that he needed to get to the fat side wing. Mitchell is playing a high forward who has to run all the way back to support that winger and all the way forward. That is the Bobby Hill role, normally, and Mitchell doesn't have those traits. Later on in the quarter, Jamie Elliott's taken out of his deepest forward role to try and get that run as a high forward because they don't have it with Hill out, with McCreary out, Sullivan injured. So they take Elliott out of a preferred role and they ask Ned Long to play the deepest forward, having a conversation there with Myercheck about where do I go. Now, I think he nominally had a role with Battle, so they were shuffling deck chairs in a way. Elliott again up there, Hoskin Elliott as the runner, wide, Dugowie through the middle, and then Long deep again. Once Long came into that team, the 22 was unbalanced. You had Mitchell and Long and Pendlebury. Well, I think you sort of got to consider your sub in terms of perfect world, but you've also got to consider worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And I think the system was in place early, but was beaten. And then when you started flipping the magnets around, you actually had players that didn't have the traits to play that specific role.
Do they have too many players then that are one-positional players?
Well, no. Collingwood are a team. I think they wanted to play Houston high. They wanted to play Josh Dacos through the middle so that Houston could play high to try and get him back into form. The choice to play McStay back, we haven't seen that in a game yet. There was plenty of new things that we saw in Collingwood in the second half that I believe would explain that lack of system and potentially the lack of fight and the lack of connection that has been so strong with Collingwood, and they need that because they can't afford the ball to get on the outside.
I want to ask you boys this question, both midfielders. How would you be starting on the bench? Are you the best player in the competition? Nick Dacos.
I don't mind the way Fly answered that, and I think we make a big issue of it. You're talking about the first 5 minutes of a game. Collingwood were okay.
It's important though.
Hey,
what would Sam Mitchell be thinking?
It was 2 goals all, so let's not worry.
What would Sam Mitchell be thinking that the best player in the game is starting on the bench?
Sam Mitchell will be worried about his team. Too much gets made of too little in this situation when the outcome is negative. It doesn't mean that was a bad decision. Not every decision
is in 43% of their scores and he starts on the bench. I would be licking my lips if Nick Dacos is sitting on the bench.
Are they trying to move players around too much to get them going? Well, at the cost of your best player?
I reckon off the back of what you're saying, trying to manipulate positions to suit the system, and then Nick Dacos starting on the bench it probably depends how he's sold that message and to get other players into the game. Is it a managed minutes thing? Is it to get someone else exposure to the midfield without him being there? Those messages become so important.
Yeah.
But if I'm Sam Mitchell, to answer your question, if I'm Sam Mitchell and I see Nick Dacos on the bench to start on a Thursday night football, I'm licking my lips.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, in the end, I think the gluing them back together is going to take a little bit of soul
Looks like they've got a lot of gluing.
soul searching from the coaching group, because without Hill, without McCreery, they don't have the speed to play the way that we saw them play without that speed.
So once again, they become predictable like the first piece of vision. So that's worrying signs.
An option potentially is to say, well, we don't need that speed through our midfield. Let's go contested and strong bodies in the midfield and get all our run on the outside somewhere. So Josh Dacos goes outside. Maybe Nick goes outside. Jack Crisp goes to a running position rather than holding up a midfield position. Bigger bodies in the midfield and get all of your run on the outside to be able to play those roles.
Intriguing.
Let's
It's intriguing how they're going to get back to
let's take a
playing
quick
their
look at the
best.
Hawks, because they were sensational on Thursday night. John Newcombe, especially Jordan, who has had very little score involvement impact, had 11 after a huge hit with Jeremy Howe early in the first quarter.
Yeah, I took the Twins along to this game. We sat behind the goals, and it's one of the great places to sit and watch the play unfold. But I thought he was terrific in what has been sort of probably a quiet month for him. His last couple of weeks have been outstanding, and I think it's just a sign of maturity maybe to deal with that huge impact early on in the game and then come back, and everything else that he attacked from that moment on was 100% to the contest. I thought his game was outstanding.
Did he look more like Jordan Lewis or Lee Matthews?
He was a bit quicker than me.
He looked like Matthews.
And
lethal.
what gets lost in all of this was the Pies' performance. We sort of spent a lot of time on the Pies.
Yeah.
Hawthorn, I reckon the way that they presented, they were beating Collingwood even if Collingwood brought their best.
Yeah.
Like with the team that Collingwood had in the park, I thought Hawthorn were up for the fight. They were going to win the contest in the little circle, and they more than covered them in transition. They were excellent.
Transition, though. So at one point, Carl Amon gets the ball at half back, about 40 metres out. Tim Memory's the only player that is forward side of him, or defensive side. He then gets the ball inside the forward 50. There is only 3 Collingwood players forward of him. So you talk about their running power and transition. That was on show on Thursday night.
Running power and transition was something that caught the Lions unstuck on the weekend, Brownie. The premiership favourites, the premiers from last year, many saw the performance against Collingwood last week and had them back there again, but they came unstuck again, the second time in 3 weeks.
Yeah, look at that. It's a smacking, isn't it? So that's when the ball's on the outside of the contest, minus 33. Absolute smacking. It was in their front half of the ground as well, so they're about plus 20 in inside 50s. But let's just have a look at the vision. Sydney were able to move the ball far too easily from one end of the ground to the other. The Lions' pressure was off a bit, so their intent and their system was off a little bit here. So we just see this, the grab from Tom McCartan post-game. He explained it really well, how they got numbers back.
I thought our balance of defending hard, but also our defensive run, get back to ground balls and outnumber and exploit when we get the ball. So I thought our balance was really good tonight.
Yeah, it was really good. It was fantastic. And look, they're getting their grand final midfield and defence back together. Really good defence, was strong. They got their numbers back though. So Brisbane couldn't win the aerial contest head of the ball. They got the ball to ground and then they quickly flicked it on by hands, Bucks. Yes, Brisbane were a bit sloppy in the tackles, certainly the held tackles. I thought at times they got either 2 or 3 Lions players to the 1 Sydney player or none at all. So that's a high number, isn't it? Including 6 goals from D50. They moved it from one end of the
look, that's an excellent return. So to be able to move 1 and 2 from your D50, that's their unbroken chain. So that's not always an accurate stat, but the Bulldogs have been the best offensive scoring side in the comp, and they're number 1 in this stat. Sydney have been doing it about maybe 1 in 4. They did it 1 in 2. And they were able to get through. Some of those tackle efforts from the Lions were...
1-6-2.
They were insipid.
Pressure on the weekend, 1-6-2. It was 2-5-7 in the third quarter last week. The lauded quarter from the Brisbane Lions.
Oh, they'd be disappointed.
And one of their best pressure players, Brownie, Charlie Cameron, unsighted at the moment, the premiership start.
He hasn't kicked a goal for 3 weeks, but the tackle, his defensive contribution was disappointing on the weekend, so certainly lacked energy there. It's a worry at the moment. The question was always going to be with the Lions, how are they going to cope without Joe Daniel?
How much is Charlie missing Joe?
He is. He's missing him from a predictability point of view, but all the pieces need to step up to the plate. So Archie's dropped off a little bit, Lohman hasn't been there, and Cameron's form has dropped Bucks.
Well, they had 65 inside 50s.
Yeah.
So it's not as if you haven't got supply. It's not as if you haven't got aerial contests, you haven't got ground ball. Tom McCartan just spoke about it. The numbers back to win that ground ball. So Charlie Cameron's got those opportunities. He is a pattern-running player over the back, but he is their player with absolute speed. He needs to chase, hassle, tackle and harass more than any other player on that Brisbane forward line.
Oh, there would have to be concern in the Lions coaching staff with Charlie's form, no question. He's a senior player, he needs to lift if Brisbane are going to get back into the top 4 and contend.
Or big game Friday night against Fremantle. They lose that and they go potentially into the last round versus Hawthorn at home, which they haven't had a great record with finals.
Lost 4 at home this year.
Finals at risk. Bucks, one of the men that won the game for Sydney on the weekend was Isaac Heaney. What an incredible performance.
Yeah.
20 possessions.
Look at him smiling.
And 5.
He was
goals.
a performance, wasn't it?
How good was he?
It's the third time he's done it this year. Only Cozzy Pickett's the only other
I think
player.
he might have
done
just
it
gave
3
away
times.
that he's in the All-Australian team with that smile.
Is that what it said? It wouldn't be far wrong, I don't reckon. We'll see what everyone else says tomorrow. But he hadn't got 20 touches on the Gabba in 6 games before that performance. And he said after the game that he woke up crook and he was really worried about his ability to get through the game. Geez, I reckon he did all right.
Yeah,
but remarkable. His aerial power, I love. What a threat. That kick that went through the midfield, it was like, I'm just going to put it there because I know you're going to take it. It's pretty powerful when you've got a teammate that you can trust like that.
It is a good lesson, though, like in terms of, we got an insight into how he felt, and a lot of young kids would come in and not be, clearly not be at the experience that he is, but no, you're just playing. We need you. You're just playing, and to come out and put the illness aside, perform at the level that he performed at is extraordinary.
Yes. Round 22 looked like a fait accompli for a few sides. Some contenders in the 9 hunting for those final spots. Came down to the wire for 3 of them, though. Fremantle and the Bulldogs, well, their finals hopes in doubt last quarter. And Adelaide over in the West, firstly 18th. Well, that was a tight one. Right to the end. We'll just select that all next.
Who's going to be the leaper? And Pearce gets forward. Back into the team, can be the hero.
What's he doing down there? They're all chips in.
Oh, it's a bit of a set play. Like, it's normally me or Coxie, and I've had a bit of success lately, so I said, just stay there, champ. I'll go and do it. And
They're all chips in.
It is scoring, they lead. A goal. Alex Pearce.
wow.
The hero. This has been massive for Fremantle. They're top 4 with 2 games to come.
Yes, Alex Pearce with the match winner and potentially a saving goal there. Shades of Justin Longmuir against the Saints all those years ago from the boundary.
And last year too, didn't he? Didn't he do it as well?
Kicked a goal last year as well too, Brownie. Good memory.
It was after Cam McCarthy. We pointed to the sky.
Yeah. It was.
And he champed Luke Ryan as well, which was fantastic. And their season was actually on the line there, the Dockers. They do need to win coming home. Obviously got the Lions Friday night. 6-point winners on the weekend, Geordie, and a little bit of fallout at the Dockers today as well.
No, there is. So, well, not fallout, but one of the modern-day greats has announced that he's retiring after 245 games. So he's been an absolute... Well, he might play another couple, but he's been an absolute brilliant player for that football club. Hopefully this year he'll be banking on this football club achieving the ultimate success. But his impact on the weekend, in particular, when he came on as sub, was a key reason why they were able to salute in the end. But 2 Brownlow medals, grand final appearance. He's been a sensational player. We haven't seen him at his absolute best the last couple of years. He's been injury affected, missed some footy, but certainly on the weekend he was a big driver in their win. I thought when Paddy Voss kicked the goal with 16 minutes to go and he just told the crowd just to be quiet, I thought, oh no, he's absolutely monster.
Nearly backfired.
But this week should be a celebration of Nat Fyfe.
Having been in that position where you're sort of coming back late in a campaign and you've broken down a few times, that 25 minutes of footy will be some of Nat Fyfe's favourite memories.
Yep.
And like anything that he gets from now on is just cream on the cake. So I hope he gets a good run at it.
Sunday afternoon at the G, Brownie, and Melbourne. Well, they gave the Dogs a real scare. The Dogs do need to win both games coming home and do play the Dockers in round 24. Yes. And that looked dicey late for them.
That's right. And the best young player in the competition realised that moment, sensed it, showed his leadership quality. So took a great mark, didn't he, at shades of Nick Riewoldt.
Was that more like perpendicular to the flight rather than back?
It's more going straight up. It's obviously more difficult going headlong.
Settle down.
No, but straight away, I'm going, geez, that shows the class of the young man, doesn't it? Because he sensed it. He knew he had to go that little bit extra.
He was a part of a group that stood up, though.
as well as the physical gifts.
You look at those dogs there in the last quarter, Ed Richards number 1, Riley West, Joel Frazier and Sam Darcy, the 4 highest rated players on the ground in the last quarter. That's a testament to the Bulldogs that just did enough to get the job done in the end.
Yeah, it would have been easy for them to get a little bit edgy, but the coach stayed calm when they went sort of a couple of goals or a goal and a half down. Yeah, they maintained their composure and they were able to work their way through it, which is why Bevo was so happy with the win, and rightfully so.
And good for the comp that they actually won. Not so good for a Lions supporter, but good for the comp. There's still 9 teams in it.
Good for the comp, and we've had a few blowouts, Bucks, is 18th v 1st. You'd think that this would be maybe a dismal result for the West Coast Football Club, but they were fantastic for 3 quarters on the weekend and really took it up to the team that sits atop of the ladder. Yeah,
well, if the Richmond Saints game was a head-scratcher, so was this one. This was it was bizarre. And the Eagles came, with a plan and with intent, and they actually had a real crack. They opened up, the ladder leader pretty well, but in the end, it was the class of the Adelaide Stars that got it done. Rankin able to steady and finish that goal midway through the quarter, and then Thilthorpe takes a contested mark and nails that from outside 50. So, their guns, like we just saw with the Bulldogs, their guns stood up when required and were able to finish off the contest. They've got such strong aerial presence all over the field. Mark Keane, Jordan Dawson took a couple of contested marks in that last 10 minutes.
Both played 20 games this year each, those 2 boys.
Helps.
15 and 7 games last year. Big part of why they didn't play finals.
Well, continuity, that's a fantastic game, that one there. I'm looking at Jeremy Cameron at the moment and the Geelong Football Club, and I feel like they're in just this little bit of a conundrum. You'd have to be living under a rock to know that people are talking about Jeremy kicking 100 goals, Jordan, which we haven't seen.
What's the closest you ever got?
I kicked 78 one year.
Okay. Including finals?
Not including finals. Didn't play finals that year.
But you
Lance
didn't get
Franklin,
fed like this.
Lance Franklin. I'm worried at the moment. They haven't had the strongest draw coming home. They play the Swans this week in what is probably their last challenge before taking on the Tigers in round 24. And the hype of the 100, I think, is starting to affect the way the Cats are playing inside 50. They are 100% looking for Jeremy Cameron. And I don't know whether that's the healthiest option coming into finals. You can see here, open shots on goal. Shaun Manners should run in and kick this and tries to pinch off a little one there. I reckon this is a watch.
So
September.
Is that part... Who's at fault there? Who would you lay blame to?
Well, I think it's on the senior leaders, including the coach.
Is it Cameron or the ball carrier?
That's on the ball carrier. I reckon they just, all of a sudden... Jeremy Cameron will always call for the ball. Forwards always call for the ball, Brownie, whether you're in the right or the wrong position. But at the moment, this love affair with the 100 is teetering and dancing with form when they don't play many good sides and haven't played many contenders coming into finals.
I would imagine once finals come around, they wouldn't be as conscious.
Can you flick the switch like that?
I think they can. I think they're mature enough.
Do you reckon that if we pulled a game out from round 5 that we wouldn't be able to find 3 or 4 entries like that?
Not to the length of that. The Matter one really stands out. Like that's 40 metres on the run, should kick a goal. He's clearly looking for
Remember,
Jeremy
we are
Cameron.
talking about a Geelong side that used to overshare. But if you're oversharing to one guy, which is your point, makes a bit of a difference.
Yeah, and Shannon Neal bobbed up on the weekend and kicked a couple of goals, which was good as well.
Really?
Well, the coaching merry-go-round at Melbourne continues, but Carlton have set it on Michael Voss for the coach for season 2026, and John Ralph joins us again from the newsroom to give us the latest from Icon Park.
Double invoice, Ralphie.
Double invoice, don't worry. 2 times 0 is still 0, boys. Don't worry about that. Hey, big decisions ahead for the Carlton Football Club. They've secured Michael Voss. They've got decisions on their assistant coaches and their football boss in Brad Lloyd. They're not trading Curnow. They're not trading Mackay. So they repeated that strong stance today. Now for small forwards, and they need a couple of them. Liam Ryan is one who has strong interest from clubs like St Kilda and Essendon and Carlton. He's got some circumstances that might want to see him move east. So while Mackay has said again he wants to stay and feels loved, look, Curnow just has that door ajar slightly, despite that public stance that he, of course, shut down a trade request a couple of weeks back. I think he still would like to surf and have a different lifestyle there. So that's something the club's still going to have to work through. Brownie, big decisions ahead. What would you do with a Curnow or to tweak this list management style to try and take it into the future?
Well, it's interesting. I'm not sure what you would do, but I can't help but think what Sydney would be up to behind the scenes. They've had a long history of always having a marquee forward.
They've got form here too.
Got form, absolutely. There seems to have been radio silence of recent times. Clearly they need one. Amarty's out injured. They've got McLean and McDonald there that haven't really played much at all. McLean was back on the weekend, but Yeah, I just wonder if they'd be sniffing around behind the scenes. I know Curnow got linked with Gold Coast a couple of weeks ago, but I'm not sure it'd be out of the question totally. And clearly Carlton are going to say he's a wanted player, aren't they? You know, so...
Yeah, you're not going to say that, we'll sell him for a...
Yeah.
What's he worth? What's he worth?
Well,
for Carlton if they trade
a
him?
marquee forward, he's going to be up close to 2 first-round picks, isn't he? If that's the going rate. So he's a key forward. He's a marquee forward, and clearly teams need them, and Sydney needs them. So who knows? I reckon it's just going to be an interesting one to watch towards the end of the season. Just because Michael Voss is staying, I don't reckon it means that people are off the table.
I've just got alerted there's a third invoice that's been put in. Ralph, you've got a little bit more to add to this story.
Well, what did Craig McRae say? He wants players, not picks. So I think 12 months on, they need to have a really compelling package in terms of players. So what do they want? They want pacey midfielders. They probably need a hard-charging defender. So I look at someone like Ollie Florent, who seems to be surplus to requirements. And this is not a player that's been thrown up, but a Braden Campbell type. If you could find the next Adam Sard with a beautiful kick-off half back. So they're the kind of packages that you would need to put up. It would need to be an absolutely compelling offer. But as I say, right now, as recently as today, Carlton says no deal on any of those trade packages.
Plenty to play out at Icon Park, and that is the scene, or was the scene, for AFLW Season 1. We are in Season 10, and it kicks off this Thursday night with an old-school rivalry.
History will be made tonight when Carlton and Collingwood kick off the AFL's inaugural women's competition.
There are lines out of the gate at the moment.
Sorry, everyone.
It's such a good opportunity. 10 seasons later, you go back to where it all started, where we had that iconic first game. Meant so much in Australian sport, let alone just women's sport.
There's a piece of history for Jessie Garner.
It's sort of one of those moments you look back on and you go, fire! Can't believe that happened.
Yes, it's time for the good, the bad and the ugly, and I'm going to kick it off. And boys, you will sense a bit of a theme as we make our way through the good, the bad and the ugly with mine. We're going to talk about one of the great things of AFL football, the bounce. And Jarman Impey, look at this, just bouncing his way off half-back, top 40 player in the competition over the last 6 weeks, Jarman Impey. That is what is... That is a great... Jack? I had 9 career bounces.
9 career bounces? How do you look that up?
You wouldn't have had many, would you?
I'm an expert in it.
God, no.
I asked him that
he would have had a heap.
Unannounced, and he knew exactly how many. Did you look at AFL tables every day?
I always looked at those little unique stats.
Is it in AFL tables, is it?
What a... I was there in AFL tables. That's a great exponent of the bounce, boys.
I don't know, look how many bounce. I think I had one on Jared Ruffy.
We're going to get that
Go,
picture.
you Ruffy.
All right, Brownie.
Here's I tell you, one that's Prance is a bit better than Ruffy, and that's Patrick Voss, the prancing pony. I loved his composure on the weekend when clearly he took a mark, and then he kept his composure, though, when it wasn't paid. So he went through a bit of a tutorial
look
with
at the stare of the umpire.
This is what I did. This is the mark. Very disciplined, though. And then 30 seconds later was rewarded for his composure. And then just a nice little silence to the crowd. And see you later. Off you go to the port.
Is that a wave goodbye or just a little yap there?
Well, it might be a little yap and a wave.
I reckon it was a
16
wave
minutes
goodbye.
to go, though. It's very confident.
Just a little departure from footy, but watching the 2020 last night in Darwin, Territorian boy. But this is how we roll.
Live on
up
Fox
in Darwin.
Cricket.
So
That's how good.
David's gone over for 6. You got 2 cans in one hand, and he's
what
just
a
taking
catch.
it with the other.
Travis Head.
He's pretty happy too. And that's how to make yourself a legend in the territory.
Like Travis Head in the crowd. We're all for goal defenders who kick goals. We mentioned Alex Pearce before, but this man here just kicked his first goal for the Port Adelaide Football Club, Alira. And these celebrations are always great memories for players. You can see Kenny.
I love Kenny.
He would have swung
We'll
him
miss
forward
that.
just to get one under his belt, and then you get that 150-metre run back and...
We're going to miss that with Kenny, live shots in the box. The bad, and I'm back to the bounce, boys. 15 metres.
This is the theme, is it?
15 metres, and you have to bounce it. In a game that was decided by 1 goal on the weekend, the Tigers hunting their 6th win. My old mate Camden McIntosh. There's 15. I'm yelling at the TV, kick it, Camden, kick it. 25 metres, ran too far. That was the last opportunity that the Tigers had to take it inside 50. So for all the young kids out there, 15 metres, and put it on the ground.
Well, let's stay on your ex. I think he was picked on the weekend, and I'm not happy about it.
You're picking on him now?
He was picked on 2 weeks ago, and he's picked on again for this Rowan Marshall Headband steal.
Oh, yeah, it's
And
bad.
the umpire wasn't
That's
happy.
bad.
The umpire actually paid, would you believe it, a free kick against Rowan Marshall
He
for
grabbed him on the head.
For head-high contact.
He grabbed him on the head.
50. He's still at 50.
And he wanted a 52.
Serious for head-high contact.
Paid a free kick, the
I
ump.
reckon free kick should be against him for wearing it.
Oh,
So,
come on, Bucks.
mine,
Hair in his eyes.
mine was from Saturday Arvo. Errol Gordon, very smart player, and I just picked this one up in the middle. So Berry takes the mark and can't stop with his momentum. Errol decides, nah, I'm going to go up to the mark here.
And stepped over it.
Berry's he stopped and gone up. That's a stubborn bit of play that cost his team.
Maybe umpires in on trying to get Jeremy Cameron to 100.
What are you suggesting?
Well, last quarter, look at this. Mason Redmond, with great courage, I'm going to give you the side-on shot. Look at that. He's got his eyes on the ball the whole way.
Lead by Jeremy.
Cameron got given a free kick there. Come on, boys.
Not on.
We love the umpires, but you've got to be better than that.
The umps are in on it too. Well, the ugly, and I'm going to continue on the theme of the bounce. So I said
there's the
15
thing.
metres to bounce it. Now, Nick Blakey, he's a recidivist with this, just bouncing it straight away. So this one here, he's had one bounce there. Then he's had another one in 8.9 metres, and he didn't stop there. This one here gets the ball. Have a look at this. 3.2 metres and he's had a bounce. And it gets even worse. He's kicked out. That's 2.2 metres, Geordie. That is ugly.
You missed
it's
the
a waste of
options.
time. You look down at the ground, Nick.
You missed the options.
15 metres, have a bounce.
Hey,
It's
look
pretty
good.
easy.
Look good on AFL tables, though.
You know...
He's had more bounce in one game than we've had our career, Brown.
You have triggers in your contract?
I
I reckon he gets
reckon
100.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
No, this is my ugly, and this is a serious one. I'm just straightening things up here, boys. It's been a topic, hasn't it, the last few weeks about umpires not stopping the game or stopping the game when they shouldn't. They've butchered
the
this
injury?
one.
This is not
Hey,
clear.
he got a bit of a knock in the hip, I think it was. Maybe the Jats crackers. But the play went on around him for about 30-odd seconds, and they didn't stop the play. Continues. Finally, when he's decided to get up and walking off, they then stop the play. Come on, boys. Stop it straight away, OK? Look after the players there. We'll keep the play going.
My ugly comes from down the Cattery, and we all love a good lamb shank. But this wasn't great for Xavier Dersma.
That's bad, isn't it?
I'm trying to still work out how he hit his foot with that particular kick, but that was...
You declared it, though, in fairness. I was sitting beside you. You said he's no chance.
I reckon he was trying to kick it to Jeremy Cameron too.
I said this could go anywhere. And he was about a 45-metre out. 30 out. He's just one of those players you just don't know what you're going to get.
Self-promotion.
Same game, and this is an ugly that I want to open up a little bit because I think we're going to... It sort of dictates a little bit about what the MRO sort of stands for, but the Dylan Shield contest and the helping Mark O'Connor out of the contest and into that one with Lual. So... personally, I think this comes back to what is it? Is it outcome or is it intent? Because if the outcome hurts your opponent, does that mean that you should get away with it? I don't think so. I think it's got to come back a little bit more to intent. The AFL has sent this to the tribunal asking for a one-week penalty, so it's a little bit different.
Ungraded. Ungraded, they've asked for 1 week.
Because it's hard to grade. How do
I
you
want to
grade
ask you
that?
the question. Nowhere in the rules does it say an opposition player when it comes to an action like this. If that's a Geelong player that lands on their head like that Mark O'Connor runs into, and not an Essendon player in the WAL, is that more than 1 week?
Well, he didn't get knocked out, did he?
No.
No, so it's probably low contact. But you would grade it low contact.
He's lucky.
Yeah, the intent would be deliberate, I suppose. In the end, you'd probably get either a 1 or a 2 weeker anyway, and that's why it's been referred. But it really does show what a schmozzle some of it has turned into with trying to apply a matrix and then
to the outcome.
to an outcome rather than looking at the intent.
Do you think there's going to be a shift off this? Is this a test case for the AFL to go when all we are focused on now is outcome and we think about head knocks more than anything else? Is this the test case for the AFL to start to promote action rather than outcome?
Or intent.
Intent is the key word, I think. I didn't like it. We did the game, and as soon as it happened, I said to Brent, I said, that action has to get out of our game. Whether it's injuring your own player or an opposition player, or whether they're not injured, that action cannot be seen or cannot go unpenalised in our game. I really didn't like it.
Now, though?
How many weeks?
Yeah.
2.
You reckon he should get 2?
I reckon
Absolutely.
2.
What do you reckon?
From now, yeah, I think there should be a suspension.
I think one's enough.
Yeah, are you comfortable? And to make the point to the players, I agree with the 1 point. Is it now though? Or
Absolutely.
Is it next season?
Absolutely.
No, it's right now. It's right now.
It's the
It's a safety thing.
And I think the AFL have handled it well to get the outcome that can be defendable as well, because you've got to be able to defend the finding.
By the way, boys, I'm just reliably informed in the year that I had 15 bounces.
Very good.
So I'm impressed
Brownie.
with that. How
Well,
good.
we can ask your old coach, Brownie, because he joins us next week. The gap between the two couches is being filled by the great Lee Matthews.
You don't tell enforcers what to do. You've got to work with them. All I know is your best player should be your highest paid player. And if he's not, you're asking for trouble. What I would be saying to the umpires' coaches, you coach them to do what we want them to do, not what you want them to do.
Celebrate you, baby. I have to praise you like I should.
Time to sing the praises to finish up the show for tonight. And Brownie, you are going to kick us off. I think this is an apology letter, isn't it?
Well, the young Brian Myers, you could have knocked me over with a feather. Post-game, we interviewed him, and he's kicking. I'm an admirer of his kicking. And
have you always been?
Hold on. He was magnificent. He couldn't knock me over with a feather. We asked him who taught him how to kick, and he said he based his kicking action off me. And the Brisbane Lions supporter.
And then what did he progress to say?
He did then say that you gave me a clip early in my career saying that kicking technique will never last.
One of the great kicking techniques there, Geordie.
It's got more exaggerated.
Well, he said he had to go away from that. He had to become more creative. I've gone Jacob Newen. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Young kids, Jaden Newen, sorry. It's a fantastic story. But he's had two of the toughest tasks in his first two games. So, happily the first game, and then Tyson Stengel on the weekend. You just see there how quiet he's kept both those two players. He's done a fantastic job in his first couple of games in AFL footy.
Some of the finishing from the sharpshooters in the game at the moment on their non-preferred, the first two. So we get, I think it's Isaac Heaney was first. Well, that's Hipwood on his non-preferred. Now that sound that made coming off the boot, he absolutely nailed that. And then Isaac Heaney later in the quarter.
He's the best sniper, isn't he?
He's done this flat out, and it's just routine. And this isn't a non-preferred, but this was when it mattered. Riley West decides to do the traditional checking and absolutely nailed it. All three of those were black dot. Just think we're seeing some great finishing.
I don't see the banana as much, Jack.
I think we need to bring it back. Our players like the left foot snap these days. I prefer the left foot snap with goal kicking. Angus Sheldrick is mine. He's one of the younger Swans, but on the weekend he was fantastic and he was instrumental in the run through the centre part of the ground, and you look at those rankings there, disposals, metres gained, scores, assists and score involvements, either second best or career high. This young left footer, he's got a big career ahead of him.
Because he had a tough start to the year, didn't he? He was copping a bit of heat.
He did. Now, I've just had word the bouncers are Brownie. You had 15. I had 29. Louis, 63. Bucks, 154.
Oh!
They started at 1.
We can ask Lethal how many bounces he had next week when he joins us on the show. We'll see you next week on the couch.